welcome to the session. Again, the session is developing cross-platform native apps with AppStudio for ArcGIS Advanced. My name is Erwin Sukianto. I am the product engineer with the AppStudio for ArcGIS team. I have here with me Liwei Gao and Sidesh Pillai. Both of them are the software developer in the AppStudio for ArcGIS team. So next. Before we start, how many of you have created native apps before in the past? Great. Out of all of the people, how many of you use AppStudio? Great. Okay. So just so you know that this session is the advanced session. It's a continuation of the previous session in this very room right before lunch, which is the basic session that cover what are the AppStudio tools and all that. This is just a continuation of that to talk a little bit more about the details, the app, on how to actually write the code into the AppStudio. So what we're going to talk about today is a little bit of introduction so that for those of you who didn't go to the basic session have some idea of what AppStudio is. And then we're going to go into some of the advanced tools in the AppStudio desktop. And then we are going to talk about this thing called QML, which is the language that we use in AppStudio. And then we are going to talk about UI and UX and something called material design specifically. Also, we're going to continue with the ArcGIS Runtime API QML and how it is being added into the AppStudio app. And last but not least, we are going to talk about the AppStudio AppFramework. So while doing this, we are going to create a demo that by the end of the demo, we are going to have a nice looking GIS cross-platform and native mobile app using AppStudio. Sounds good? All right. So they spend the whole hour to talk about AppStudio, and we can spend like all day to talk about it. But if I were to put it in one slide, I would like to think about AppStudio as a suite of or collection of tools, or productivity tools to create a native app. One of the main selling point that we have for AppStudio, you just create one app, one code that will work in all the platform, across all platform, whether it's iOS, Android, Windows, Linux, UWP, Universal Windows Platform, Mac OS, so it works on phone, tablet, and desktop. With AppStudio, we provide templates for non-developer, so you can just use the templates and configure, put your web map ID, layers without going to the code. But the source code is also available so that you can take the template and then take it further, customize, make it rebranded to the way your organization wants it to be. Also, on top of that, in AppStudio, we created a lot of plugins. It helps you with all the functionality that you need to access the capability in the native apps. For example, local notification, vibration, background location, text-to-speech, and biometrics authentication. Remember, on your iPhone, you can use your fingerprint and Face ID for the new iPhone X. Also, secure storage, background location, and many more. We are going to talk about it later, towards the end. Also, on top of that, AppStudio created these tools. That's why it's called a collection of tools that help you with the testing and building the app. There's one of the tools that really powerful. It's called AppStudio Player. We covered that a lot in the past, but it's technically, if you are familiar with the web development, you write a code. You write a code in your text editor, for example, and then you can run it and see how it looks like in the web browser. In AppStudio, we create something similar to that. So you write your code, and then you can see it to something called player. You can run it on the player on the desktop, and also you can install the player on your smartphone, and you can see how it looks like on iOS, Android, and all of other platforms. We also have console window. We have this thing called CloudMake. This is where the cross-platforms come in. So we provide this tool where we have a lot of server in iOS, Linux, and Windows, so that once we finish coding, we can send it to the cloud, and then in the cloud we'll help you create the executable for each platform. We give you the exe, the IPA for iOS, and the APK for Android and Linux, and so on. And also, there's this thing called Qt Creator. That Qt Creator is something we're going to talk a lot today. It's the IDE. It's where you write your code for your app. Okay? So a little bit deeper about AppStudio. So if you look at the very top row, that's all the app that's created using AppStudio. Right underneath it, we have, it's powered by the QML and JavaScript. That is the language that used to create the app. And it also powered by the AppStudio AppFramework for all of the native functionality of the device. And also, you can add ArcGIS Runtime so that you can bring in the GIS and the mapping functionality in your app. So I just want to make sure that all of the functionality that's available in ArcGIS Runtime API for Qt QML can be added into the AppStudio application. Underneath of that, there is a framework that we use. It's called Qt Framework. The Qt Framework is the one that's powered the QML, the AppStudio AppFramework, and also the Runtime Qt. It writes Qt, but it's spelled Qt. And also for the runtime, it's powered by the ArcGIS REST API, feature services, maps, and packages. So next. So as I said a little bit further, Qt Framework is basically what you use to create the UI of the app. The Runtime API is what the GIS, the mapping technology comes in. You can do map control, layer, portal, geocoding, all of that good stuff. And also AppStudio AppFramework that is created using us. So Qt Creator, Qt is a company that we use for the cross-platform technology. Runtime is Esri Runtime, and AppStudio team created AppStudio AppFramework. So basically with just Qt and Runtime API, they are not enough if we want to create a decent cross-platform app. There are gaps in between. So that's where the AppStudio team comes in. We added all the gaps that needed, for example, app infrastructure, to access file system component in each and every single different devices, network component, UI widgets, and all of the plugins that we're going to show to you later. So without further ado, let's open AppStudio Desktop. So this is the AppStudio Desktop, one of the collection of the tools that provided by AppStudio team. This is the main tool where you start all of your development in AppStudio. So go ahead and sign in. So it will sign you in to your ArcGIS Online or portal. So it logs in. In the basic session, there'll be a recording of that. We're going to talk about all of this button. But the one that we want to show you is go ahead and create a new app right away. So if we create a new app, we will give you a lot of samples, and also the templates are here. While this is opening, it's the internet. We'll do it again. We can create a new app without signing in, right? So we'll sign in to ArcGIS Online. So these are lists of templates and samples that we have for you. One of them is, in this tab, it's just a starter template. It's easy, blank page, and hello world. If you move on to the template tab, this is where all the templates is. Currently, we have 3 templates, which is Map Tour. If you're familiar with Story Map Tour, this is the native app version of the Story Map Tour. And we have Map Viewer and also Quick Report. And on the layout, this is all of the sample UI and UX, how you can create a nice looking UI and UX samples. And then next to it is where, on the samples, this is where all of the runtime sample that's available in the runtime Qt, and also the sample for the AppFramework. It's all available here. You can also search and find it by category. And last thing I want to show is the enterprise. How many of you know about Survey 123? So I don't know if it's a surprise, but Survey 123 is created using AppStudio, and the source code of Survey 123 app and template is available in AppStudio. So you can download the source code and customize it the way you want. All right, so go ahead and go back to the starter, and let's go ahead and create a new app. So for the purpose of this demo, we're going to create an app from scratch, from the blank page. So we're going to give it a name of the app. Click Create. Now I know that it's actually faster talking than typing. Create. So the app is created from the sample. So we have it here. The way, so this is the app. We can run it. So that's the app that we just created on the top left corner. We can run it right away. We can double click. That is currently run on the AppStudio player that is installed in this desktop. You can go to App Store, Apple App Store, and Google Play Store right now, and also download the player, and then use the player to view your app. So let's close that, but we want to show you the code right away here. So the way to get to the code is you can right-click on the app or choose the left panel. They're the same thing. So click Edit in Qt Creator. So we click that. It will load up a Qt Creator, which is the IDE or the text editor that we use to code. Can everyone see the code from the back? All right. So this is the source code of the sample app that we just saw. This is basically the app. It says text, and the text say my app. It has a lot of other properties that we're going to talk about later. But what I wanted to show is the one on the left side. It has a folder that comes with all of the app. It has if you look at on the very bottom, it's thumbnail.png. That's the thumbnail that's going to be added into your ArcGIS Online item. And then there's also appicon.png and also the default app.png. Those are the 2 items that's going to be the icon of your app when you publish it. Remember, if you have an app on your phone, you have an little icon that you click to start your app. Those are the file. You can replace it with whatever icon you wanted to use. And then if you look at the QML project, so this is the root file of your app. This is the project file. The main file for this app is myapp.qml. And then if you scroll to the bottom, one thing that you want to use is distinct files. It basically tells you what are the files that you want to include in this folder. So I said I want to include all the JSON file, all the HTML file, all the TXT file, and all the configuration file. You can add any other file that you want to include in your Qt Creator. So moving on to the appinfo.json. So this is the configuration file of your app. So if you see it contains all the capability. If you see audio files, Bluetooth files, file sharing files, and all of that. But what I wanted for you to focus is let's take a look at the Bluetooth false and camera false. So we are saying that this app does not have access to the Bluetooth and the camera capability of your devices. But we can change it. So let's go back to AppStudio desktop and let's make changes, and then we'll show you what it means. So in the app, you go ahead and click Setting. So you can change the configuration of the app from the setting page or the code. So go to Capabilities tab in the app setting, and then we want to enable the camera and Bluetooth capabilities for this app. So that's enable, Bluetooth enable. Go ahead and click Apply, and then go back to the source code. As you can see that it detects there are some changes in the app info.json. And we said apply. And then you see that the Bluetooth and the camera is now true. So that's, I just want to show the relationship. So for non-developer, they like to make changes on the setting, change all the setting, change all the color, and then the app is ready to be deploy or make. But for the developer, if they want to make changes on the app info.json or make changes through the code, you can, like, if you press this and then that changes is gonna be the code will make that changes for you. So moving on the file, quickly here, there's item info.json. This is the ArcGIS Online item details. Since when this app is uploaded, it's gonna be uploaded in ArcGIS Online or portal. So this is the details of the ArcGIS Online. This is the same with any other ArcGIS Online item details. So I just want to let you know that it's there. So let's start taking a look with the myapp.qml. So as we remember, myapp.qml is the main file for this project. So as you can see here that it has an import. If you know programming, this is very common, where we are importing the libraries from Qt Quick and Qt Quick Control, meaning we are getting all of the control from Qt. And also we are importing AppStudio, AppFramework, and the control from AppStudio Framework. So we're combining those two. And then later on, as you can see, that it's now commented, where we're going to add the runtime into the app. So we already run this app. We have the text here. We have the page ready for, we're going to add some asset first, right? Okay, so in order to, so let's show the end result of the product. So we want to create this app on this demo. So basically, this app has the header, the orange header on the top, and then it has a map label, and then it has a map in the middle, and then it has this round button on the very bottom. So we are going to create that. So let's think about it, right? We need header, we need label, and we need button. And then we're going to add map on the rest of the page. So let's do that. So there are images that we need. So we need images for that eye. We need images for that back button. So let's add that. So let's first add all the assets that we need for this app. So we have the assets ready. So we're going to copy this asset. So you right-click on, this is the app. If we right-click here, we can go to the Open in Folder. It means that we are opening the File Explorer where all the files are stored. So we just copy the asset into the folder. It has some of the QML for colors, font, and then the images that we need for this app. Okay? Then now let's go back to the Qt Creator. So we can see that the asset folder, it's now added into the Qt Creator. So now we want to make sure that we are able to access this asset folder. So we're going to add an import statement. So we're going to say import. If you can see that when you type /, it automatically auto-complete the folder. So what it means is we're importing the asset into this a project. So that's done. And then now we have to add a few QML items that we're going to use and then copy the page ready. So for the interest of time, we're going to click that and then go ahead and add the code, Liwei. So we remove the text. We have the code ready. So we're just going to copy it. What we just add is we're adding the font, the color, all the sources that we need that is available in the asset folder. We have color.qml, font.qml, and sources.qml. So that's just being an item there. And then we are adding something called property display factor. Because if you're on the web, there's pixel, right, that represent every single unit in your on the web browser. But on the phone or on the device, especially cross-platform, it's hard to have that kind of that kind of pixel. So we created something called scale factor. So it's based on the Android depth pixel. So when you say 56 scale factor, that means it's 56 on my phone and also 56 on a little bit bigger devices and 56 on your on your desktop. So that's what it means. We just add that real quick, and let's create a page right now. So we're going to my app and add new page, add new QML file. So we add that file, choose. We create a name called page 1, for example. Yeah. So finish. So as you can see that we have a new file. We have the import, and we probably need to add more imports in this page. And then just copy the file for page 1 quickly. And then we're going to discuss, show you what's inside it. So go ahead and copy everything. All right. You need to add another import or no? All right. So let's start. We just created a rectangle, which is the container of the app. Adding a quick control too. So we have a rectangle with a background color white. And then inside that rectangle, we have another rectangle for the header on the top. So we say there's a rectangle. This is what we're going to create. So a rectangle, inside a rectangle, there's a rectangle with width of the whole container parent width, and the height is only 56 scale factor. So we have that header. And then we're assigning the color that is coming from the asset, color black 36, meaning with opacity 36. That means it's gray, basically. And then it's clipped through, and then there's a label inside the rectangle that says map, that anchored correctly with a font size that's from the asset with color white 100, meaning true white. So moving on to the bottom, it has another rectangle, but we want a round button, right? But I'm adding a rectangle. In QML, we can just add rectangle, but if we specify a property radius, it becomes a circle. So we set a width and a height, and then with a radius 32 scale factor, we anchor it to the right bottom with some margin so that it's not all the way down and to the right. We have some margin so that and then it has a color orange. And then also on top of that, inside the rectangle, we have an image that's coming from the sources info icon. That's info. So that's it. So let's run this. Well, we probably have to. So that's the page. So now we have to add this page into the main file. So you have page 1. And then we want to make sure that this page is anchor. It's filling the whole app, which is the parent of the page 1. So let's run this. So there you go. We have the banner, we have the map, and then we have the orange icon on the bottom. But let's compare with what we need to create with what we have right now. So if you notice here that what we have is not exactly how we want it to be. If you notice that very first on the banner has a nice shadow underneath the orange banner. So it has kind of elevated up a little bit. And also on the I button, it's also there's a shadow around it, and it's kind of just blend in with the map. And if you hover over the back button and then the banner and the round button, I don't know if you can see it from the screen, but it should give you a nice shadow that it is being hovered over on top of it. So we want to create that. So, but before that, I'm gonna segue into the slide here. So let's go back to the slide. So next. So we talk about it. So all of those code that you guys saw, it's called QML. QML stands for Qt Meta Language, which is the language from Qt company. The QML construct the UI, and the JavaScript construct the application logic. So if you're in the web before, this is a great news for you, because you already see the common patterns that QML construct the UI and JavaScript construct the application logic. If you're in .NET, the XAML construct the UI, and the .NET code or JavaScript code construct the application logic. So the QML is basically the HTML in the web for AppStudio. So this is the sample. We already know the imports, and then a rectangle that has a width and the height, the background color green. It has a button. It's a change color. We anchor it to be in the center. As you can see, there's a button in the center. And then an on-click event. This term is also a familiar term too from the web. Every button has an on-click event listener. So we have on-click. What's happening on the on-click is written using JavaScript. So if the current color of the app color is an ID of the rectangle, is green, then change it to red. Otherwise, change it back to green. So that's what happened on the animation. That as you click, it's just changing from red to green. So, sounds good? Next, if I want to talk to you about what are the other things that's different and really good about QML as compared to other languages. So it's quick prototyping. You can quickly create, just like what we did. We create a rectangle quickly, add a label, add a button, add more things in it, and then you can show it to your boss, for example, your manager. Say, is this something it is something that you want from the app? You click this button, this is going to happen. This is the header. So you can quickly prototype. And then it has a nice transition and animation. It promotes reusing of code. As you can see that the page is a separate file, so you can keep recalling it. You can also do that for header, button, rectangle, set of button, set of rectangle. You can just keep calling it and then put it together in the main file. It also has a property binding. Property binding is if you do any other programming language, it takes more code to have this property binding, but in QML it comes in between. What it means is that you assign a value into a property, but it listens if there's any changes on that value, it will update that property that's being assigned to. So it's pretty cool. It has signals for event listener, and also so the JavaScript that we saw on the bit of JavaScript is based on the ES specification 5. So it has all of the functionality that the ES specification 5 has. So we did this already. We went one step ahead. We created a new app, but then we want to make it pretty, right? It's not as pretty as we want it to be. So before we start creating a UI, in our experience, creating a UI for cross-platform app, it's a little bit challenging because you're targeting iPhones, iPads that has different size, Androids. There are hundreds or maybe 1,000 kinds of flavor of Android and devices. Also, there's desktop. It's bigger. Hence, there's a different screen resolution. We already show you how we can tackle that by the scale factor. There's also font different. Every device and every desktop has a different rendering engine. So the same font may look different. There is also animation and graphic design, graphic effects that you have to take care of. So there is these challenges, but we have come up with some kind of guidelines. So basically, in order to do that so that everything looks the same, we need some kind of workflow or guideline, right? There's something called. So first, you can create, just like in web, you can create your own CSS. You create your whole CSS based on your organization styling guide. You can do that in QML. You can customize it. But there's something called material design. It is based on Google Material Design Guideline. So Google first started out creating a set of rules for the developer and designer. If you're creating a Google Apps, this is a set of rules you have to follow. And it actually got extended, got bigger, it's complete, it's now open source. And Qt company took that rules and set of guideline and added it into the Qt framework. So now we can use it. So without having your own custom guidelines, you can just use that guidelines. And the way to do that is just to add another import for Qt Quick Control material. Make sure it's the same version. It's your choice. We're presenting it today using the material design, but you can create a custom design, or also there's another famous design that being used out there called QML Universal Style. So it's your choice. So let's next. All right. So we want to go back to the app. We want to make it pretty. So let's go back. Go back to the Qt creator. Go back to go back to my app real quick. So we have page 1. We're gonna scratch that. We're going to create a new page. So add new QML file. We're gonna name it like page 2, so that it's different than page 1. It's the same one. So let's go ahead and add some of the code first. So let's get all the imports. If you notice here that we have additional import called a material, control material. So that's by importing this, that means we are using an inbuilt styles that comes with the Qt. So we use that, and then let's add maybe the header. We change this to page because page is a different item than a rectangle. Page is a more sophisticated QML item that can take all of this material design instead of just a rectangle. So it has a header properties, and then let's go ahead and copy the toolbar. So let's talk about what we just add. So page has a header property. We know that most of the page needs some kind of header, so that's why it's more sophisticated than just a normal rectangle. It has header. It takes this another item called toolbar, and it has a width and a height, same height, 56. Inside a row layout, it has a tool button, which is the back button that you saw. And if you see the back button that you saw up there, yeah, thank you. And if you see the source, it's the back icon. So that's with all of the width, height, and anchor. And then we're going to talk about map later. So, and also it has a label that say map. The label has a map, and then we assign the font size, and then the color white. So let's run this. Oh, we have to. So we have to go back to myapp.qml. Oh, material design, right? I forgot about that. So, in addition, compared to the previous one, we added 2 extra line of code. We're saying material.primary material orange. So we're getting that orange color. Also, we said material.elevation 10. This is where you set how deep is the shadow of the material design. So we set that, and then let's run this, but before that we have to change the page. So now we're using page 2 because page 1 was ugly, right? So let's run this. Oops. Click on page 2. Do you forget any anchor? Let's check our cheat sheet real quick. Let's try running it again. Page 2, okay. Oh, he hasn't saved the page yet. The code is there, but it's not saved, sorry. So that's how it looks like. So now we added the toolbar. It has the orange color, elevated 10, and then it has the label maps and then the back button for that. So let's compare with what we have. There's another thing that we need, right? I don't know if some of you know, so we compare here. So let's compare with the end result and then the current page that we have. So this is the page that we have right now. Look at the end result. That's what we had before. So much different already. And we want to be that way. So the next thing that we add is the eye round button on the page. So let's do that. So let's copy the file, the code here called round button. Copy that, put it in the all right, so we added a round button. So if you notice that it's not rectangle anymore. Round button is a little bit more sophisticated item that use rectangle, that inherited from rectangle, that can take the material design. So it also has a radius property that set how big is the circle is. And then it's same, anchor to the right button with a margin. And then it has a content image source info icon. And also, we added a material design here. It's called material elevation 6 and material background orange. So let's run this. Make sure you save first. All right. So we see that we have an orange over there, but the end result is kind of shadowish a little bit, right? So that is by using something called material theme. So let's add a theme. So in material design, it also supports this kind of theme, dark or light theme. How many of you know, have used Google Map, right? When you're driving, let's say in the morning or after work, suddenly the sun is set, and then your map turns from light to dark. Or in the morning when you leave before dawn, and then the sunrise, and then the map changes from dark to white, right? I think everyone knows what I'm talking about here, right? So material design has something like that. It's called material.theme. So we say material theme either dark or light. So now if we do that, and then some of the color are adapted. So now we change it to dark, and we have the background to black, to darker, and then the icon is kind of not as bright anymore. So that is all about material design that I wanted to show you. Am I going too fast here, or everyone's following? Okay. So let's go back to the slide for runtime. because so the next thing we want to add is a map, right? So as I mentioned, so next, that you can add runtime QML. So it used the runtime SDK for Qt QML API. It has all the slide, but one thing I want to just send my message very clear here, that you can add all of the functionality that is available in ArcGIS Runtime SDK Qt QML. So anything they have, you can add it here, because we are simply just importing all of their libraries. So anything they have, you can use it here. It brings the power of the mapping and the GIS, all the cool stuff that the runtime can do. On AppStudio, we want to make sure that we use the latest version, which is the 100.2.1, I think, 100.2.1. That's the latest version right now. So we can do that now. So now let's add a map into our code. So to do that, let's go back to page 2. And then let's add the import first. So now we're saying we have Qt quick import, framework import, and then import Esri.ArcGIS runtime. And we want to specify the version. So by doing this, that means we are importing all of the libraries from Runtime SDK, Runtime API QML. So now, that means we can add a map here. So we want to add a map in the middle, so in between the header and the round button. So we're adding a map view that anchors fills the parent, and then we're adding a map component inside a map view. So this sample is showing you how to add a web map. So you can configure all of the layers, properties, and bookmarks, all of those things in ArcGIS Online or portal, and then just simply put the web map ID into the app, and then you should have the web map into your app. So let's run it. So now we have a map of Palm Spring. That's what the web map use. And as you can, how many of you have used ArcGIS Runtime before? So you're familiar with the watermark licensing, yeah? It has watermark. You know how painful it is to. So now I have to call Esri support. Can you give me my client ID? What's the runtime license? But AppStudio take it further. So we have that. For AppStudio, you just have to click a button. Since you log in, we know who you are already. We know what license do you have. So go back to AppStudio, desktop, and we're going to set a license for runtime. So this is the app that we have. Go to setting. Right-click. That's the app, yeah. Go to setting. On the advanced setting, on the bottom here, so we have ArcGIS Runtime Licensing, Set Light License. So click on that button. It goes to ArcGIS Online or your portal and get your runtime license back. And then if you close and apply, then it'll be added to your app. That's it. And the watermark is... It knows that now there is a license, changes in the code, obviously. And apply it. And then run it. So now we have a map. We use the runtime. You can add all of the other functionality, geocoding, routing, offline map, MMPK, and all of that. And the watermark is gone. So we added a map. So now we want to do something very cool with the I button using the AppFramework. So let's go back. I want to pass this on to Sidesh. Sidesh is going to talk about the framework.
Check. Thank you, Erwin and Levi. So to give you an idea about AppFramework, so I just have like a couple of questions. So how many of you have created app from scratch using AppStudio? Okay, just one guy. Okay, and how many of you have used Survey 123? Okay, we have a couple of people. So Survey 123 is heavily reliant on AppFramework. So let me just give you an overview of what AppFramework is. So as Irvin mentioned, like our underlying tech is Qt framework. So AppFramework gives you an extra set of bits to power up your app with all the native capabilities. So what that means is we just write everything on the C++ on the backend, and we expose a JavaScript like QML objects that you could just consume in your application. And I mean, we do all the hard work and the heavy lifting, so you don't have to do extra configurations to get that thing on board. So can just go on to the next slide. So yeah, we have like several set of modules, and each modules are designed to solve specific purpose. So right from like just getting a small detail like a system information to something like complex using satellite info, you could do using AppFramework. So for example, I'll not go all the modules in detail. So let me just cover like a couple of them. So for example, like authentication. So if you want to use biometric authentication in your apps, so you can use the authentication module to use your Touch ID, Face ID, and the fingerprint sensor on your Android devices. And the other would be to use devices. So devices is a very new module which lets you connect to your external GPS receiver, like which gives you like the high precision location data. And we also have a position module which you can connect your devices, and it has an NMEA parser, and which basically overrides the default position source, so which is pretty powerful and very accurate. And if you want to secure your data, so if you want to encrypt data, so you have like several scenarios where you want to save data. So what you can do is you can put in your database, or you could put in your file, but you don't really know the guarantee like how secure it's gonna be. So we have something called secure storage, so which actually encrypts the data and stores in your system keychain. And it can be only accessed by the application and no one else. So it's pretty fast and very powerful and supported on all the platforms. And like the other common use case is notifications. So everyone loves notifications because you want the app to talk to you. So notification is one way to add an extra bit of functionality where you can let your app give some kind of an alert via notification. So we have like two forms of notifications. So one is the local notification. It's like an alert or a pop-up or the dot that you get on your app icon. And the other is the vibration. So vibration is a non-visual form of notification. So we have like vibration sensors on your mobile devices, but you don't have those sensors on a desktop. So if you use sound as a mode of vibration, basically a vibration is also like a form of a sound wave. So we just took that idea and just put like vibration for desktop devices, desktop platform as well. And just to confirm, like notification is nothing to do with push notifications. So the push notifications come from the server, and this is just local notification that comes from your app. And some other modules is SQL. So SQL plugin is very powerful. It's actually built on top of SQLite. I think everyone has used SQLite before in your apps. So this gives you like SQLite functionality, and also we give you extra functionality, like you can also do spatial functions, do Esri transformations. So it's pretty powerful. You can do that using SQLite. And something cool I would say is speech. So everyone have used like the Google Assistant or Siri in your smartphones. So I think with speech module you could basically let your app talk to you, and which has a text to speech, which is pretty cool, which is fast and it's easy to use. So I'll actually show you something like that, how to do it. So okay, so let me just go back to the Qt creator. Hello? That's too loud. Okay, so the first thing to do is you need to have the right import. So for speech, okay, wait, I got it. Okay. Sorry about that. So the first thing is you need to have the right import. So to load the module, the first thing that we do is, let's just go ahead and do that, ArcGIS. Okay, so this is how we import the speech module, and let us create the text-to-speech component. So it's very simple, and it's not like a lot of lines of code. And you could also do lots of voice modulation using text-to-speech. You could basically use a system locale or voice engines that comes with your device to modulate the text-to-speech. And you can use your pitch, your rate to adjust the speed of how you want your app to talk to you. So let me just create the object. And so since we have something called the I button, so let me just add that in the I button itself. Okay, so let me just run this app and see what it says.
AppStudio is awesome.
Do you guys hear that? Yeah, it's pretty fast and it's very simple. It's just like 2 lines of code, just like one import, just load the component and just call the method. And we have like lots of functionality similar to text-to-speech, which is very simple as well to use. So yeah, with that, I think I'll just give it to Erwin. And if you have any questions regarding framework or any other things with AppStudio, I think this is the time.
Next. Okay, so that's it. We created a nice looking GIS cross-platform native mobile app using AppStudio for ArcGIS. I mean, we spent 52 minutes from the very beginning, but most of the time I was talking. But the actual code probably take 10, 15 minutes to take. So that's my point. We're trying to show you that you can create that using AppStudio very quickly. We cover AppStudio, QML, material design, runtime. We can add all the functionality that runtime has, so we can make a nice GIS app, and AppFramework. So I think that's it. We're going to open the rest of the time for question. So let's go to the next slide. But before that, I just want to make sure also there is another session by one of our users that talks specifically about taking the map fully offline in AppStudio. It's really cool. If you're interested on getting the maps offline, come and see him. Adam, his name is Adam. He's from city of Ottawa in Canada. We also have a website. You can ask questions in GeoNet, YouTube, and also we're available in the showcase later on too. But we have a few minutes for a question right now. So is there any question? Yes? So the question is how to debug the Qt in environment. So do you want to show that, Siddharth?
So with AppStudio, we do have a bunch of tools that helps you debug. So the one thing that I would want to show is how to use console. So it's like an old school style of debugging. So you could use like console logs. So what if you want to debug on your devices, right? You want to run it on your phones and still want to get all the console logs. So we do have a tool called console, like app console. So if you just open this guy and yeah, let's wait for it. Yeah. So this is the consoler, and then you have a player, which is a companion app that comes with AppStudio, and whatever logs you put in your app, all you need to do is use the console and open the QR code scanner in your player, scan the QR code, but you need to be in the same network. And once you do, you can establish the connection with the console, and you can get all the console logs in your this console, what to say, window. Yeah, that is one way to do it, and the other way is if you are doing on desktop, you could get the console like on the console area. So for example, when I run the app, so all you see here is all the console logs. I hope I answered your question. Yeah.
Thank you. Also, the way to debug this fully was covered in the basic session that show you how to scan the QR code and then get all of the log message from the player. So, any question? Any other question? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Oh. All right. You have a mic over there.
Check. Yeah. So there was another question regarding how to add breakpoints and do debugging. So with AppStudio, you can't do that. Like I'm not saying like it's like a limitation, but you need to have a licensed version of Qt Creator and create your own debugger process to do that. So if you have a licensed version of Qt Creator, you can do that. But with the Qt Creator that is bundled, it comes with a certain like a set of what to say. It's not like a full complete version of Qt Creator. For that, you need to have the license. So, like, yeah, we do right now for the AppStudio 3.0, we are at Qt Creator 5.10, and for 2.1, it's 5.9.1. Yes, it's all available on the GeoNet blog post.
Thank you. I think there's another question from the middle. Yeah. Sure. So the question is, can we talk a little bit about the deployment of the app? So this was covered on the basic, but we can do that. So first thing first, you can just use the player. So you can have your custom end user to just install AppStudio Player that is available in App Store and Google Play Store. Install the player, have your app here, and then have them download the app. That's it. No further step. But if you want to have your own app deployed, so first you can go ahead and make the app, create an executable of the app. You can first just give it to them, like give me all your phone, or give them the link to download the APK and IPA. There's a little step for the iOS with the licensing, but you can give them like that. Or you can publish it to the store. So there, if you have created a native app before, there's a step to process. So we help you with the executable, IPA, IPK, and then you have to give the IPA and IPK to the Google, Apple, and then certificate. For Apple, I know you have to pay $99 a year to be able to publish app to the App Store. And for Google, I think you have to pay $25 one-time fee at this. Then you can go through the process and then have your app published. But from AppStudio, we're giving you the executable. I believe that you need to create a certificate file from Google and Apple, and then specify who you are, what's the name of your app, making sure that it's available. So those are the way most of our customers deploy their app.
Yeah, I also wanted to add one more point. So we have some tool called Make. So to create executables, we do give you the option to create the executables using Cloud Make or Local Make. So if you have a licensed version of Qt, you could do it locally on your desktop using Local Make. Or if you don't have the infrastructure, for example, if I just have a Windows machine and I want to build for iOS, you could use Cloud Make to do that. So first you need to upload it to ArcGIS Online and then just click on the Cloud Make, and you could just basically provide all the platforms that you want to generate the executable. So even though I'm using a Windows, I could still generate the binaries for Apple, like iOS and macOS, and even Linux for that matter. And you could just click on build, and that's it.
It's building. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other question? All right. If you have a private question, we'll be here for a few minutes and in the showcase, come talk to us. But thank you for coming and thank you. Hopefully, you guys were creating an app with AppStudio. Thank you.